All right, is it going up? Gonna wait and see if it's gonna behave before we get started. Is it doing anything? Okay, that's up. Come on, stream. Now you want to refresh that real quick. I want to give everybody the same intro. Did I do something wrong already? Do I need to set the stream key? I thought I already did that. Yeah, I already got that set. I don't want to do this again at home. Actually, hold on. There it is. Okay. Cool. All right. So, let me make sure that it's gonna actually move for me. So, this is American History 101, the first one. And I'm Professor Holt. Some students just call me Holt. Or you can just call me Mr. Holt, Riley. I don't care. I don't have a doctorate, so no Dr. Holt. Oh, don't do that. Why is it doing that? Come on in. No, this is history. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Who do we have? Who just came in? Let's see. Okay, got that one. And who was? Yes, I got you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, hopefully I'll be able to set all that up more quickly in the future. It's changed since last semester. Anyway, yeah, so this is American history till 1877. We'll talk about the books and everything, well, the book, singular, as we go on. So don't worry about that. Right. Since you're going to be stuck with me for the semester, just so you'll know what you're dealing with, I'm going to make not great jokes to try to keep things going, which will include sarcasm. Sometimes I might get a little heated with the various characters in history. There's going to be some not great characters, and just because they're old dead men doesn't mean I'm going to pull any punches. In fact, since they are a bunch of old dead men, they can't defend themselves, so they get what they get. There's typically going to be some references in there that you may not get, and if you don't get it, that's fine. If you do get it, well, you're on the same level as me. Also, I tend to not sleep well at night, and that makes everything else worse. But as far as what you need to know for the class, I'll do my best not to make this a difficult class for you guys. That said, you still need to come to class and do the work, and you'll be fine. This isn't a trick class. This isn't going to be a, you come to class and do your work, and then the test is full of questions you've never heard before. As long as you're here and you're conscious, you should hear everything that's going to end up being on the test, which, again, I'll go over as we progress. If you have any questions as we go, let me know. I'll have a question section towards the end anyway. But as far as history, let's discuss that. So, for a lot of people, history is names, dates, battles, treaties, which is kind of boring, to be honest. And that's not how I was taught. And that's actually why I went the direction I went. Because it's more interesting than that. History is a series of questions. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. These events are more than just, on this date, this happened, and this guy was there. Okay? So, as an example, we're going to talk about the War of 1812, which is going to be about halfway through our material. It's a good middle point. And as I did with my class yesterday, I will ask you guys. So, War of 1812. Who was involved? And by who, I mean what countries? Can anybody tell me what countries were involved in the War of 1812? And I'll give you a hint. This is the American history class. So the U.S. was involved, and what other country? Anybody know anything about the War of 1812? Well, then I've got a lot of interesting stuff to tell you guys about the War of 1812 then. Britain. We fought Britain again. It was a real quick, sudden war. So what happened in the War of 1812? What was this event? It's in the name. It was a war. See, these are easy. Where did the war happen? Any guesses on that? I'll give you a hint. We did not invade Britain. So it happened here in the U.S. Also, we tried to sort of invade Canada. That didn't go well. This was the war where where Washington, D.C. was burned down. The British marched into D.C. and just burned it to the ground. Something I'll also talk about when we get there. There was a lot of naval warfare on the Great Lakes because, again, the British held Canada and we were sort of trying to invade Canada, and there was a lot of ship-to-ship battling happening on the Great Lakes, which just seems real weird to me. But the Great Lakes are big, so that happened. Okay, when was the War of 1812? Wow, we got it. Technically it ended in 1814. Well, technically it ended in 1813, but the treaty didn't get back to the United States until 1814, and Andrew Jackson was busy fighting the British in New Orleans in 1814. So even though the war was technically over, there were still battles happening. So thanks, Andrew Jackson. A lot actually happened in that war. So the why and how of it is why we're here. The British were impounding American vessels. There was the idea of the sovereignty of the seas, border issues, imperialism, which is something we'll discuss on a greater scale later, and more. The why and how of these events is what we're here for. These other things, who was doing the war, when it was happening, where it was happening, those can make for like real quick and easy short answer questions. But this is what is going to be the focus. It's more of a story. To me, it's more of a story than a series of like just facts, you know? So, this is a thing that's technically in from my History 103 class, the European history class, but I thought it would be nice to bring in and just tell you guys about, because it's still history, and unlike my 103 class, you guys don't need this for your test, but again, knowledge is knowledge. So, yes, this is a block of text, but the definition is just that first sentence. It's how we view history based on the modern day. It's basically, there is no objective view of history. If we look back at history, our vision will always be affected by the modern day. So in the Cold War, whenever we look back at history, the best example I had was from 103. We look back at Athens and Sparta, and we saw, oh, Athens was this great bastion of democracy, therefore that's why we have all these relics from Athens and not so much from Sparta, because Sparta was somehow a socialist state and bad, and that's why Sparta didn't really leave any legacy, and therefore Soviet Russia will fall and things will be fine. Because that's all we thought about during the Cold War, was like, how are we going to be okay? In more modern day stuff, and typically, in your books, we look back at the past and see how people who weren't usually the ones being written about were being treated. Because, if you look through history, it's always the rulers, or the military leaders, or like the really specific explorers, which is easiest to make questions on, I'll admit that. But like, what about the 99% of everybody else? What about the peasants, or the women, or, just everybody else? How were they being treated under, say, the monarchs versus the Republic in America? Or the example that I used originally during Napoleon's reign. And sometimes it's weird that it's like, well, actually during, the monarchy, maybe they had a little bit more power, because when America became America, women certainly didn't have any more power than they did under the monarchy. Not right away, not for another 200 years. So, this doesn't change history, obviously. It doesn't change what happened. But it does change how we look at history. It does change what we focus on, and maybe what we search for. So, the historical lens is a neat little thing to look at. So we're all here in a history class at 8:30 in the morning. Why are we here? And again, a quote that is just getting older and older. And if you don't get it, it's fine. But why do we care? Why do we care about this War of 1812 that lasted about a year and maybe a little bit longer because of Andrew Jackson? And the argument is usually those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it, but it's like, Britain's not really much of a world player. They're still sort of there, but they are kind of burning themselves to the ground right now. And America's not imperialistic, right? Yeah, sure. But we need to learn about history because it's our legacy. It's things that have happened in the past, and it it informs the present and indeed the future, because humans are pattern-seeking animals, and seeing the patterns of people long ago and often not so long ago does help us avoid the mistakes of the past. Especially, once you do start learning history and seeing the patterns, and you realize, oh wait, this happened less than a century ago, and they're literally using the same names. Why is this happening again? It's a little bit frustrating. So that's all well and good, but why are we, worried about all the political stuff? Because there's going to be a lot of political stuff. That is one reason I kind of prefer European history over American history. Is American history is like a war, and then just a whole bunch of political intrigue, and then in the War of 1812 is like a page and a half, and then just a whole lot more political stuff. And then we have the Civil War, and then that's it for this semester pretty much. But the political stuff's important, because otherwise it'd be incomplete. The analogy I make, and I do need to get rid of that disclaimer because I've been sat down by my friend and I shouldn't say forced to watch the extended version of Lord of the Rings, but now I know what's going on. And I can add to this not just the walking trees, but also the literal wave of ghost men taking down a giant elephant. I still don't quite know why that was going on, but it was going on. Anyway, it'd be like watching Lord of the Rings, but just the battle scenes. It was like, okay, here's a fight, here's a fight, here's a fight. Sure, some of the fights last like an hour. But we don't know why they're fighting and why there's trees and why it's like a big deal. And even with the extended version of the movies, my friend was still giving me background information because she read all the books. But history follows patterns. You can't just go in and just look at the small parts. Even just with American history, we're starting at 1500, and that's thousands of years of European history. We're just going to be it's there, and now we're starting here. And we're just kind of taking for granted all the inner turmoil of Europe that's already happened. And if you ever take my 103 course, you'll see all the inner turmoil that happens. That's the entire first semester we're just going to ignore and then be okay, by the way, we're over here in North America now, and Britain and Spain and France all hate each other. But if you want to look at the entire semester in a single paragraph, it's right here. Exploration, colonization, the European powers fighting each other, spilling over in North America, the various revolutions, because there was more than just the one we're familiar with. That's why it's called Exploring American Histories, because it's not just the United States, it's all of North America. And then our growing country, heading west, the various growing pains, largely of slavery, and the internal divisions, and then the Civil War, and then this goes on to next semester of just the fallout of that. So, if history follows patterns, can it predict the future? Not really, but it can inform us and help us make the future better than it could be. Avoid mistakes of the past, like a land war in Russia. Don't do that. Napoleon figured that out. Hitler did it anyway and figured that out. You just don't invade Russia. Russia's a bad place to be. Russians know that. although they invaded Finland and realized, wow, Finland's actually worse. But the history does set the foundation for today. So we can't just ignore history and be like, oh, we're going to forge a new future. It's like it's always still there. There is no blank slate. And what we do today does set the foundation for the future. And once again, history can be traced by its wars, and war never really changes. And if you get it, cool. If you don't worry about it. And if you really get it, you know that's the wrong image for that quote. But it's okay. I'm going to not get into that. Right. So, come to class. All the material for the test will be on the board. All the material on the board will come from the book. If you get the book and read a little bit before each class, you will be ahead. And if you have any questions from what you're reading in the book, because, you know, it's a textbook, so it's not super interesting. If you have any questions and need to bring it up in class, I'll probably answer it just going through the material. If you still have questions, then you can ask. Also, this is my book. It's the first edition. Yours shouldn't look like this because this is old and beat up and I spent too much money on it. This is probably what yours is going to look like. I would strongly suggest you getting your hands on it. It's useful. Hopefully your school is getting you a copy. If not, get the cheapest possible copy you can. Like if you can find a PDF version online for free, that'd be the best. Don't spend money on this if you can help it. But it's good to have because again, all my notes that go up here come out of the book. And then I take my notes from the PowerPoints and make the test. So, you know, it's all essentially out of the book. And, I mean, it's pretty simplistic. Let me find a good spot early on. That is all contents. Why are there like 50 pages of contents? Okay. So the book has a bunch of these little subheadings. Each subheading is a separate slide. There are words in bold in the book. Those are probably important. They're going to be probably little definitions that I have on the PowerPoint. So you don't even really need to read the book so much as just like skim. And when you see the stuff in bold, stop and just kind of look and see what that is. And that's probably enough. When we get to the paper stuff, the default topics will come out of the book. But you don't have to do the default stuff. In fact, I often encourage you to think up some topic that interests you more than what might be the default. And, you know, use outside sources anyway. But if you want to be lazy and just do the default topic, it's useful to have the book in front of you. What else? Oh, also, you need to do the exams and the papers. There's two papers. One's at the midterm, one's at the end of the semester. So, like, nothing's coming up anytime soon. There is no homework. There is no busy work. I don't do that. That's just more crap for me to do, much less for you to do. So yeah, when the exams come, which is our exams, tests, I've had people tell me, don't say exams, it'll scare the students. It's all the same. Every 3 chapters will have a test. So, do chapter 1, 2, and 3, test 1. 4, 5, and 6, test 2, etc. And I want to try to do a chapter a week. We'll see how that works out. Obviously, we're not doing anything today as far as material. We'll start next week. Yeah, so about a test a month, it's looking like. So, you know, we're not going to be flying through. We'll talk more about that when we get to the syllabus. But yeah, please come in and do the stuff or turn it in when we get to the papers, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Ask questions. If you have any questions about stuff, let me know. Email me if you have any questions about anything. Obviously, for those of you that came in a little bit early, I'm here on Monday, Wednesdays. I try to get here at like 8. So I'm here before class for this class in particular. My Tuesday, Thursday class isn't until 10, and there's someone in here before me, and she doesn't get out of here until like the last possible minute. So I can't get in here and set up early, which is a pain in my ass. So yeah, if you ever need to come in and early and talk to me, that's cool. If you need to stay after class to talk to me, that's cool. If you ever want to schedule something with me, I don't really have an office, but there's like an adjunct closet they give us. So if you want to do that, that's fine. Or we can just stand in the hallway. I don't care. Yeah, and I just put up the syllabus right before class, and the syllabus also has my email on it. Any questions as of right now? We'll be doing the syllabus here in just a second. Okay, cool. And last but not least, no. That was, when I put this PowerPoint together, that was the only thing on the History channel. It still kind of is. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's still trash, but it's not specifically this guy. All right. Now let me see if I can make, where's my mouse? Okay. Let me see if I can make the hell? Okay. See if I can make the display settings work the way I want them to. Duplicate. Okay. Pull up this. Great. Now this isn't going to work right away. Now let's see if I can get... Need to make this work. No? Not going to work for me? I got it to work earlier. Whoop, that's not what I want. How did I switch it last time? Ah! Don't know how that worked, but it worked. Alright, now we need to move the forever box up here. Cool. Alright. Let me see if... Okay, that's really delayed. Alright. Okay, so this is your syllabus. It's already on Blackboard. Let's go over it real quick. That's the wrong syllabus. I had 103 up for my next class already, and I forgot to do the thing. Right. This is your syllabus. Okay. This all seems right. Monday, Wednesday, 8:30 to 9:45. There again is my email address. It is of course up on Blackboard. Just FYI, a lot of this language is not mine. My professor, Dr. Kaufman, basically gave me an outline and I filled my stuff in. So a lot of this language is a lot more harsh than I would give. So some of this stuff don't take word for word. When it's like, you have to do this, it's probably not me. Course description, blah, blah, blah. Here's the text again. You definitely don't need a hard copy. If you can get a digital copy, I don't care. I may do some stuff on Blackboard if I can find like articles or some supplementary stuff that I think might be interesting. I've not really done it since I've started teaching here. I used to do it more up at Tri-County. If I do, you do not have to print it out. But if I do put something up on Blackboard, I'll send out an mass email and be like, hey guys, I put something on Blackboard, please at least like check it out. So yeah, that'd be great. This is again more of a suggestion. I'm not gonna grade you guys on participation, but I would like you guys to be awake. Okay, writing. Again, the first paper is due around the middle of the semester. That's like October for us, isn't it? Why is it like this? Notifications. I wanted to look at the calendar. You freaking okay. Windows 11, whatever. I'll do that later. So I'll figure out a proper date for this at some point. This will be about. It's going to be about like the. Oh no, not. It's not going to be about the revolution. The first topic, which again I'll put this stuff up on Blackboard later. It's not really necessary at the moment. It's going to be on like the Native Americans and comparing and contrasting how the various European powers treated them. So that's going to be Britain, France, and Spain. And it's going to be like 2 or 3 chapters before we really get into all of the European powers. Because the first 2 chapters are like just all Spain. Well, the first one's mostly just the natives. But then it's like Spain happens, and it's all Spain for about 2 chapters. That's how far ahead they were. Far ahead of everybody else they were. And again, that's not due until like October. So again, don't worry about that right now. As far as the paper itself, 2 to 3 pages double-spaced. I would prefer that you print them out. Again, for you online folks, you don't have to print them out. You can email them to me because I'm not expecting you to come up here when you're not up here for class. You guys, you can email them to me, but I do have 2 online classes that are almost completely full that will be emailing them to me. So if you can physically bring them in, that'd be great. Because I grade things easier when they're physically in front of me and I can like mark on them and stuff. But if you need to email them to me, fine. I'm not going to be like Kaufman and be like, oh, if you email them to me, I'm going to be pissy. It's fine. It's just there is a possible chance they might get lost in the shuffle and I'm going to be wondering where they are. Because, again, my emails get flooded around paper time. Please try to get them in on time. I'm not real strict with this, but this is what I'm supposed to do. Don't handwrite them. I've had that happen once when I was working upstate. I'd rather not have to deal with handwriting. Because my handwriting's terrible. That's why it's good that PowerPoints exist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to be a teacher. As far as spelling and grammar, as I say here, I'm not going to go through and like every little thing. I'm going to take points off. As I told my class yesterday, I mostly read through a paper and but there's a couple of things I look for. For a history paper, I want to make sure you're using your sources. Citations, if you use any kind of quotations, which is great. If you're telling me anything new, that's always fun. But also if it flows, like if it's a well-written paper. Also, if I can tell you're just copying something, do not, because you will get a 0, and technically I'm supposed to report you to the dean and kick you out of school. Do not plagiarize. If you want to copy something from a source, you quote it and you put the source behind it as, according to this source, quotation, this, in quotation, put the cite at the end. Like, you can cite stuff, that's fine, that's good, but don't just copy an article and then give that to me as your work. I've had that happen. It's not good, and I don't want to mess you guys up while you're trying to learn what college is like. But going back here real quick, just don't make my eyes bleed, guys. Like, don't make me sit here and wonder, like, what word were they trying to use? What sentence is this supposed to be? As long as that's not the issue, it's cool. Like, if you're using a word processor of some sort with a spell check, then it's not going to be an issue. But if I can't tell what you're saying, then we might have an issue. Other than that, it's cool. Again, I'm not going to be like, oh, they used this such and such tense wrong. I don't care. The only thing I will be a little bit anal about, since it's a history paper, what tense should it be in? If we're, say, talking about George Washington. Right. George Washington was the first president of the United States. He is nothing but worm food right now. Because like I have had so many, it's like, such and such is this. I'm like, it is nothing right now. So-and-so is dead. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not gonna dock you points. I might mark it and be like, it's not right. That's just something to remember. Yeah, just make sure I can read it. We'll do plagiarism in greater deal in just a minute. The exams, again, if any of you were students I've already had, you know what I'm talking about. They're 50 questions apiece, which means each question is 2 points apiece, so you can, miss a few questions and still be okay. Most of them are multiple choice, so you've got four answers, choose one, whatever. That's easy. The short answer questions are not my excuse to make you write an essay. I've had students do that. It's like, that's not what I asked. The short answers are basically multiple choice questions where I feel like it's so easy you shouldn't even need the multiple choice. Like, let's go back to the War of 1812. And, what 2 countries were fighting in the War of 1812? You say America and Britain. Bam. That's the answer. You don't have to say, in the War of 1812, America and Britain were fighting. I don't need a sentence. That's not what the short answer is. Just give me the words. It's short answer questions are supposed to be, for me at least, nice simple little things. Final exam, identical to the regular test. Short answer, multiple choice, 50 points, or 50 questions. Not cumulative, so it will be whatever on everything since whatever test 3 was. Also, the final exam does not count any more than any of the other tests. They're all weighed the same. In fact, is it? Yeah, I'll go down here in just a minute. The tests and the papers are all weighed the same. I'll get to that in just a minute. Behave, you guys are doing fine. Don't plagiarize, please. Ideas, organization, words of another writer without giving credit. I've had a student literally just copy and paste an article before. I was like, boy, this looks familiar. Let me go to this article that they cited. And it was exactly the same. So they didn't do well. I've had 2 students hand in the exact same paper before. It's like, you're both in my class. What are you doing? Don't do that, please. I don't want to give you, and again, giving you a 0 is the most merciful thing I can do. And I don't want to do that. So yeah, I'll obviously fail the assignment. I can fail the entire course, fail you for the entire course. Technically, I can report you to the provost's office, which can often mean that it'll go on your permanent record, and there's a chance that you won't be accepted into future colleges. Plagiarism's bad, y'all. I'd rather you tell me, hey, stuff's going on, I don't have time to do the paper, than, hey, I'm running out of time, I can't do the paper. I'm going to just copy this thing and hand it in and hope he doesn't catch on. So, I'd rather you just not hand in a paper than plagiarize. Because, oh wait, one more thing before we move on. If you have any issues, any disabilities that require academic accommodations, talk to the Office of Counseling and we will set you up. We have a testing center right down the hall. If you need to take a test outside of the classroom, that's fine. If you need more time, if you need to be in a space without people, that's cool. Speaking of, let's go ahead and move on to my addendum. Again, there's my email. I don't have an office, so if you want to talk to me before or after class, cool, let me know. So we have the 4 exams, or the 3 tests and the final, whatever. They're all the same. And the 2 papers. This is, again, Kaufman. So they're all weighed the same, which means we do not have attendance quizzes. Jesus Christ, Kaufman. Which means that I will drop your lowest grade overall. Except the final, because I can't do that. So, if you do poorly on a test, I can drop that. Or, if you do well on the test, I can drop one of your papers. Which means, if you do well on your tests, and you do that first paper, you don't have to do the second paper at all. Because that can just be a 0 and I can drop it. Because the second paper is going to be around the end of the semester when everything's dropping for everybody. But if you do everything, I'll just see whatever's lowest and drop that. But if your final's the lowest, I'll just not drop anything, and therefore everything will weigh less, and whatever gives you the best grade is what is the calculation I'm going to do, is what I'm saying. So you have a freebie over the course of the semester, basically. Yeah. Also, as far as the exams or the tests, whatever, you know what I'm saying. If you miss one, that's fine. I used to not really want to do makeup tests because they were a pain in the butt when I was working at Tri-County, because they made me turn shit in a week early. We have a testing center right down the hall, and as long as you let me know when you can be here to take the exam or the test, whatever, I can make sure you've got a copy and put a sticky note on it with your name on it and give it to the lady at the front desk, and you can go in there and she'll take it to the testing center and you can take it and I can pick it up after class. So if you can't make it on a test day, cool, email me, let me know what's going on, when you can come in and take it, and it'll be fine. So missing an exam day doesn't mean you're going to necessarily miss the exam. As long as you let me know when you're going to be able to take it, because I've had students not make an exam and they just never talk to me, never contact me. So I was like, well, I guess they're not taking the exam. So that's the one they're going to have to drop, I guess. We're not doing essays. I've done that before. I'll never do it again. We're not doing attendance quizzes. Like I said, makeup exams over there. No, wait, we're around the hall. Over that way. Let's see. I guess technically the final exam would make up or whatever, because I would drop one of them, and I don't know. I don't math. I just drop a thing, and then you have less to worry about. It's not comprehensive, as I said. You can, for the final, which we'll talk more about when we get closer. If you're not able to come in on the day that our finals are, which I don't know what day that is yet. We usually don't know until closer to finals. I'm going to be in this classroom for every final. And you can come in with a different section if you need to. Now this is my most full class. There are a couple of open seats, not many. My other ones are a bit more sparse, so there should be room if you need to come in there. We'll talk more about it as we get closer to the end of the semester. It's not a big deal right now. But point being, even like final exam date isn't set in stone. If you guys need to move the stuff around, just let me know. We talked about the papers and essays, which I'll get more into as we get closer. We talked about plagiarism. I had a schedule set up, but I never could quite keep to it, because either we'd get behind or I'd get ahead. I'd rather just be like, okay, it's when we get to it, than have to keep telling everybody stuff's changed. We'll have stuff on Blackboard as we get there. Oh, right. If you do send me stuff online, and this is for you online folks, please send it via something that I can get my hands on easily. Word documents preferred, PDF is fine. I'm not a big fan of Google Docs because I sometimes can get into it easily, but a lot of times I have to send you an email back requesting permission to get into it, and that takes time, and then I'm usually moved on to other tests, and by the time I get it back, I don't know where yours is because my inbox is full of crap. So if you can just send me something I can immediately open, that's for the best. So Word document, PDF, something immediate is great. So that'd be nice. Oh yeah, also please attach it to the email. Don't just like copy and paste it into the email. I've had that happen a few times. Because that screws up the formatting completely. Right, again, online folks, just email it to me. Also for you online folks, I'll send you an email about how the exams work. We're gonna be using the what's it called? The lockdown browser thing, and I'll just put the exam up on Blackboard. Yeah, so I'm supposed to deduct 10 points each time, or each day. Where's my mouse? Each day that the paper's late. I'm usually a little bit nicer than that. Again, for you guys that are here physically, I'd rather you physically hand in your papers because electronic stuff is just a pain in the ass. You know, you online folks, not much you can do about that. Again, a lot of this is a lot more harsh than I intend. This is Kaufman. I think that's it. Any questions? This should be up on Blackboard by now. Any questions about the syllabus? Or just in general? We all good? All right, let me mute this before I open the door.